You know, I was contemplating doing this, just like any other person, like a person like myself has been contemplating about talking about it. But after seeing Jamie Tude or James Sullivan talk about it, um, many of you know him from his contributions here on YouTube as well as at thatfellowinthecoat.com. You probably also know him from some of his collaborations with Huey Toonmore and of course the guy in charge of thatfellowinthecoat.com. But you might also know of somebody else called Electric Dragon or Animat. Now, the one thing that both James and Animat have in common is the fact that Animat, about a month or so ago, and then just recently, about 24 hours, basically about, I guess, a few hours ago or something like that, or last night or something, Jamie Tude, both did videos on why they're not bronies. And as you can see up there, that's what I'm here to talk about too. I am here to say that I'm not a brony. Now, in case you don't know what a brony is, but basically a brony is a male fan who, in some cases, is probably about 6 years to 10 years to 13 years younger than me. So, but yeah, I'm 33 years old and I still like cartoons. I'm not going to deny that. And I'm still a kid at heart, so, that's probably why I act the way I do sometimes. But who isn't? Who's not a kid at heart? But, here's the thing. I've admitted that I'm a fan of many things, but I'm here to say I'm not a brony. Although I can understand why there are bronies out there. I can understand that. But I would not, and I repeat, just like James pointed out in his video that he did recently, or in his newest video, I would not go on YouTube and post me going up to a person at McDonald's and saying, "Hey, I don't want this character of My Little Pony. I want that character." I'm thinking, what the fuck is the matter with you, boy, man? What the fuck is the matter with you? Just be glad you get some kind of toy. I mean, seriously, are you going to go and tell somebody, "Hey, I don't want..." Oh, and by the way, this is one of my nephews. They forget to take it home with them. But are you going to say, "Hey, I don't want the Green Lantern. I want another Green Lantern toy," or "I want a Batman toy"? Or are you going to seriously post that on YouTube? Hell no. You're just going to accept what you get. Now, I'm not saying I've never been a fan of My Little Pony. And I don't think anybody around here can say that they haven't either. Because one point in our lives we have been. But you see, to me, I respect the franchise. I am a fan in some ways of the franchise. But there are certain portions of the franchise that I just am not a fan of. I'll give certain portions of the franchise a chance. But to me, if you're truly a fan of any portion of the franchise, especially growing up in the 80s and 90s like I did, then this here is the one you want to be a fan of. This is the one you want to definitely at least give a watch for. You know why? You know why this one, which is known as like G.I. Joe and Transformers are, you know why you would give Generation 1 of this a better look and enjoy it? You know why you'd give it a better look at it, and why you would probably enjoy it more so than maybe even the newest one? Is because well, here's the thing. It's basically targeted towards little girls. There's no doubt about it. But they said the same thing, though. Here's the thing. Even though they say this is mostly targeted towards little girls, which, of course, that's the intention of it, here's the thing. They said the same thing about Jen. That's right. They said the same thing about the Gem set. And what happened? Or the Gem series. And what happened? There were boy fans, male fans that grew up on Gem and they enjoyed it. Not because it was one of the big three along with G.I. Joe and Transformers, but because it had everything, not just for girls, but it had everything for boys as well. It had, for the girls, it had the fashion and all that. It had the girly stuff, if you will, no offense. But it had the action, it had the adventure. It had things that boys would like. It had explosions at times, things young boys would like. Now you take a look at this and you think, well, where's the explosions in this? Well, of course it probably does. Well, one, it doesn't have explosions, I will say that. But it does have complications. I mean, one of the writers for Transformers Generation 1 and G.I. Joe Generation 1, Buzz Dixon, said in an interview, and I think it's on, trying to see here. Yeah, it's on this one right here. I don't know if Shout Factory did an interview with him, but it's on this one. It's on Transformers Season 2, Part 2, in the bonus section. And you can probably see it right there. But he even used My Little Pony Generation 1 as an example of having complicated and dark stories. That's why a lot of fans like myself, even though we won't watch it much, we will buy that set, even if it's the only set in existence right now, because it's more understanding, it's more complicated. It's got more complications. It's basically darker in tone and more mature in tone. That's why people enjoy that more. That's why people like me who say we're not bronies enjoy that more than we would Friendship and Magic. Now I can understand people's love for that show. I can understand male fans loving that show. I can understand it. I get it. I get it. I mean, I can understand when some people go on and get this, because they do have one, the Friendship and Magic Wikipedia site. I can understand them going out and saying, oh, well, this is why it's good, this is why it's this is why it's that. I mean, they even used what was supposedly the big event, if you will, the royal wedding, if you will, as an example. Basically, they said they had a character in there that was like, I guess they called it a changeling or something. That, some people would say, they basically said some people would look at it as being a little too dark for a show like that. Because basically this changeling had holes in her legs, had a discorded voice, and basically had bug wings. And she was basically like a dark pony or something. I don't know. So, to me, I can understand them using that as an example, saying, see, this isn't entirely just for girls, it's for everybody. I can get that, but here's the problem. When this show came out, it didn't just have TVY for its rating, and I don't know if that's changed to Y7 or not, I don't think so. But it didn't just have TVY, it also had the circle EI on it. What does that tell you? It had the EI on it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because, nowadays, in the media nowadays, that's usually a good thing. I guess it's a good thing in some ways, especially with a show like Friendship and Magic. I get that. I get that. But you know what's funny, though? You know what's funny, though, folks? Is when they show Friendship and Magic. Is when they show it. Mostly in the mornings. Even on the weekdays, it's mostly in the mornings. And most of the time, the targeted fan base for it is in school. Now the summer and the spring breaks and the Christmas breaks are the only times they'll probably get to see them, and on the weekends too. And if you live here in California, mainly on your furlough days, as well. But anyway, those are the only times. Majority of the time, you're either in school, or if you're a grown person, you're a grown person and you still like the show, but you're not a brony, but you like the show for what it is. But again, like I said, you're not a brony, but you like the show. And and you're at work. The only times you have is either, like I said, the weekends, or on your days off, or on your vacations, or the holidays. Or most of the time, I'll give it this, on demand. Are the only times you have a chance to see it. But again, here's the thing. But here's what I'm trying to get at, what I just said there. You can like Friendship and Magic, but you don't have to be a brony. You don't have to go out and say, I'm collecting this, I'm collecting that. You don't have to be a brony. No, you don't. Let me, as crazy as this sounds, let me kind of give you an example. When I said I was a fan of the Generation 1 version, I meant it. Heck, I'll even go farther than that. When I was living in Kansas, during my freshman year, one of the shows they had was the My Little Pony and Friends show, or whatever it was called. Basically, it was the 90s updated version of My Little Pony, and it had them going to school and everything and stuff like that. And it would also be mixed in later on with Generation 1, which I liked. But I did get a kick out of the newer one, because I know some people will crap on it. I know some people will crap on that 90s version. But I liked it because, to me, it equaled out the fan base. It equaled out the genders, if you will. Basically, you didn't just have girl ponies, you had boy ponies. And with them all going to school together, you're thinking, that makes sense. So to me, that, along with Generation 1 of My Little Pony, are the only ones I've ever been fans of. The other ones, the movies that have come out and all that, the newer ones, I'm thinking, I don't really know. I'm like, I don't really know. I don't really like those, because they don't. They just didn't appeal to me as Generation 1 and that other one did. They just didn't appeal to me. I mean, heck, when the My Little Pony movie came out, that appealed more to me than those movies ever did. To be honest with you, it appealed more to me than those movies ever could even think of. The thing is, there are people that will like a show like Friendship and Magic, but they don't have to be a brony. I mean, I'll admit this. I've given some of the episodes a chance. I've watched some in between, and I admit they're pretty good. I mean, I like how they kind of do their take on Halloween, and they kind of help I think her name's Luna character, finally redeem herself in the eyes of all the people in their city or in their village or whatever. I'll admit that's a good thing. And I admit they do have situations that, they do have situations, and they have topics that they do talk about. And, we can sometimes relate to them, but it's not all the time. It's basically learning about lessons and life lessons and all that. That's basically what it is. That's why, if they still have it on there, that's why you see the EI. If it didn't have the EI and maybe it had the 7, it would be more understanding for someone to come out and say, hey, I'm a brony, I'm a fan. Because if it had Y7 and it didn't have the EI, again, it would be more understanding for people to come out and say that they're a fan of it, because it wouldn't just be what a lot of people interpreted it to be. I mean, James did say that it did have some good things, and like I mentioned, it does have some good things to it. There's no doubt about it. And and I will admit, just like with any animated series, obviously, that has a fan base this big, you're going to have something that some fans like about it and some fans don't, and that's romance. And sometimes it's a commonly known romance, and sometimes it's a unique, I didn't see that coming romance. And one of those unique, I didn't see coming romances deals with two characters in the show. Now, one of the reasons I think some people do like it, that are in their 20s and all that, is maybe perhaps because it is a bit of a throwback character-wise to this show. I'm just saying. Because one of the characters that makes a return for the first time since the original is Spike. But the thing is, the way Spike is, he's just sort of like a note taker for himself and for the character Twilight Sparkle, from what I understand. That's all he is. He just jots down notes, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like a journal thing, so he can report to the, I guess, the head Princess Pony, whatever her name is. And, you know, I can understand maybe that's one of the reasons fans like the show, because it's a bit of a throwback with characters like him. But again, when you have it, it's episodes. But again, some of the episodes that they have are mostly life lesson episodes. So they're like, oh, I've seen that episode done before in another series. I know what the result's going to be. I know what the outcome's going to be. And you're right, and people will be right. They will normally know what the outcome's going to be because they had seen it before. In fact, one of the episodes deals with Spike's birthday, from what I understand, and because he gets so greedy, he turns into this monster. But, for some reason, it's also the episode where they finally have him acknowledge to, of all characters, Rarity is her name, who I guess a lot of people look at as probably the prettiest one that they have on the show. And I will admit, sometimes when they draw her, I can definitely understand from the perspective, from an actual fan's perspective, from their actual perspective, why they like Rarity and why they kind of have an attraction to her. Not saying I don't, because I don't. I don't have one. I mean, I like how they design her, but I don't have one. Let's make that perfectly straight, all right? Let's get that straightened out. All right? But I can understand people's attraction to that character. I mean, heck, there are some people that say, hey, that point at people like me and say, oh, you guys are fans of Sally and all that, and you have a fetish for Sally. Here's the thing. We could be fans of the Princess Sally Acorn character, but it doesn't mean we have a fetish. Okay? I already explained this in a response rant to Sega Genesis 4100. I explained that. We're fans, but it doesn't mean we have a fetish. If we had a fetish, Sally would be all over the place. But we don't. And that's a fact. I can look you guys dead in the eye and tell you, that's a fact. But anyway, I can understand people's, or bronies, if you will, attraction to her. But again, getting back on subject, this episode in which everybody pretty much knew what the outcome was going to be, just basically was a setup for Spike to finally admit his feelings to Rarity. Because I guess when Spike came on board, it became established, I don't know how far along in, that he's developed a crush on Rarity. And that Rarity looked at him as a good friend and all, but didn't know that he had much more, that he felt much more than just friendship for her. So I'm guessing that, to me, I'm guessing they felt that was going to be the only twist we didn't see coming. And maybe we didn't see it coming, but the truth is we saw the outcome, the lesson learned coming a mile away. A mile away. And to me, it's like, why would you repeat the same kind of lessons people are going to learn day in and day out, day in and day out? Why would you repeat the same lessons that they would learn on different shows? Like, you could turn on PBS and watch Sid the Science Kid, and you can learn the damn same lesson there. You could turn on Nick Jr. and Dora, or Go Diego Go, and learn the same lessons there. The thing is, why would you put that as a lesson in a show that you're trying to hype up as popular as it's being hyped up as? Or try to follow up on the hype that has been given? Why do that? You don't. The thing is, folks, thing is, folks, the way I look at it, if you want to be a fan of this show, hey, be a fan of the show. If you want to watch every episode, watch every episode. Doesn't mean you have to be a brony. You don't have to be a damn brony to like it. I mean, did boys get called bronies when this came out? No. Did boys consider themselves Rios or Stingers when this came out? No. The thing is, folks, the thing is, you don't have to be a so-called brony to like a show. Now, again, though, I can understand and respect why there are, bronies and fans that want to consider themselves that out there. I get that. I understand that. But the thing is, why make such a big deal? Just come out and say, hey, I'm a fan of the show, and yes, I do collect some of the figures or whatever. Don't come out, don't go on YouTube like some people do and say, and basically in front of the world, try to argue with a person at a McDonald's or something like that and say, oh, I want this instead of that one. Don't do that. If you're going to do something, just explain, look, just go like this. Yes, I am a fan. And this is why I'm a fan. And yes, I do collect. But hey, as an old saying goes, to quote an old saying, to each their own. In other words, if you like it that much and you want to be a brony, that's fine. Again, I have nothing against the series. I think it's got some good elements to it. It's got some good characterization, obviously from what I understand. And it does at times have some good episodes, but it's not enough for me to be a brony. If you want to know what I'm a fan of more than just Transformers, it's right here. I'm a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog, even a fan of the Saturday morning version, to the point that I edited all these final 4 episodes into one movie. I cut out the other title cards and used the Doomsday Project title card very carefully at the beginning after the intro, and just went into Cry of the Wolf after that and made it flow effortlessly. So, excuse me for a second. Sorry about that, folks. Just a phone ringing from somewhere in Sonora, California. I don't know who that could be. But what I'm saying, folks, is you can be a fan of a lot of things, but it doesn't mean you have to be obsessive. And believe it or not, I do, but I will admit I do understand maybe why they are. And I do respect their opinion. If they want to come out on YouTube and show themselves in front of the world exchanging, exchanging Happy Meal toys at McDonald's and blah, 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 that's fine. To each their own. If that's what makes them happy, that's what makes them happy. But you got to think of it this way. Again, if you like a show like My Little Pony Friendship and Magic, doesn't mean you have to be a brony. Doesn't mean you have to go to McDonald's or Burger King and say, I want to exchange this My Little Pony figure for this one. I'll give you an example. When I was living in Kansas, after I got the Generation 1 set, the ponies were kind of making a comeback. The movies, like I said, the CGI, Flash movies, whatever they call them, they just didn't sit well with me. I just didn't like them. Let's make that perfectly clear. I did not like them. And, I will admit, I did buy some of the pony figures. I did, because they reminded me of some of the Generation 1s. And I think some of them were reissues. But here's the thing. Just because I bought them doesn't mean I played with them. No. I kept them in their boxes, in their cases, and I put them on my shelf along with my Transformers and my other figures, and I didn't say anything about them. And I didn't, really talk about them since. I just put them up there because of nostalgic reasons. Because I grew up on the show, even though I didn't watch much of it as a kid, I did grow up on it. And again, it's an understanding as to why people like me in our 30s and even in our 20s enjoyed this one probably more, would favor this one probably more over the newer one. I mean, yes, the newer one is kind of like a throwback to the original series with certain characters or certain character designs and elements and characters returning. I get that, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. To again repeat what Buzz Dixon said, or to paraphrase what he said, My Little Pony, just like with Gem, G.I. Joe, and Transformers, had its complications, had its dark moments. I mean, take a look at the damn pilot episode. Escape from Midnight Castle. I think that's what it's called. Or Rescue at Midnight Castle. Take a look at that. I mean, that was dark. I mean, you look at a thing like a franchise like My Little Pony, you're thinking it can't be dark, right? That was fucking dark. And that's why fans like me, or not fans like me, but people like me, prefer that one and maybe certain other ones over Friendship and Magic. Not saying Friendship and Magic doesn't have its fan base, because God knows it does. God knows it does, but the thing is, the thing is, there will be those like myself who will favor that one and other ones over that. But again, getting to my point, just because I'm a fan of that doesn't mean I prefer that and a bit of a fan of that version of G1. Even though I prefer that one more than Friendship and Magic, doesn't mean I'm a brony. And it doesn't mean I won't give Friendship and Magic a chance every now and then. But the truth is, you don't have to enjoy something like that to be a brony. You don't. You could just say, yeah, I'm a fan, yeah, I collect, that's it. You don't have to say, oh, I'm a brony, and do certain things that will embarrass yourself. And I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that perhaps in their minds they're embarrassing themselves. No. Maybe they just feel, hey, look, I'm just setting an example for any other fan base out there, whether they're bronies or not, that, hey, you don't have to have this. Make sure they have something else. See if they have something else. I get that. But the thing is, most of the time, if you're going to do that, you do it to say, hey, make sure they have something else for your kid. Don't go out and say, hey, I want this for myself. But again, to each their own. If that makes them happy, it makes them happy. So, I know this video ran a little too longer, a lot longer than James, so I apologize for that, but I think I just had to get off that on my chest. I had to get that off of my chest, and again, confirm that I am not a brony. I do prefer more so the Generation 1 version than Friendship and Magic, just like anybody else would prefer other versions, but I'm not a brony, and I'm not saying I won't give Friendship and Magic a chance. Because from what I understand, there are some good elements to it. Even James has said that. But I'm not saying but I'm not going to come out and say I'm a brony because I'm not a brony. Alright? And that's all I'm going to say about it. Comment down below. Tell me what you think. But again, in closing, I am not a brony. Period. So, comment down below, video response if you like. Sorry this went a little long, and I'll talk to y'all later.